Dr. Sarah Chun had been warned not to make noise in the Temple of the First Dawn. The Keltharian archaeological site was considered sacred, not just culturally, but legally. The 73 stone guardians that lined the temple's main hall had stood silent for 10,000 years, and the Galactic Heritage Council wanted them to remain undisturbed. Sarah's research permit came with a list of 47 regulations, most of them variations on the same theme: silence, respect, no touching. But it was 0400 hours. She was alone, and cataloging erosion patterns on millennium-old statues was mind-numbingly tedious work. So she hummed, not loudly, just something to fill the oppressive quiet of the ancient temple. The lullaby her mother used to sing when Sarah couldn't sleep. A simple melody, probably Irish in origin, passed down through generations of Chun women who'd married into families from everywhere and nowhere. Sarah didn't even know the words anymore, just the tune. The first guardian moved so quickly she didn't process it. One moment, she was examining lichen growth on statue 42. The next, the statue wasn't there anymore. It was standing 3 feet to her left, its stone head turned toward her, its crystalline eyes, which had been dormant for 10 millennia, glowing soft amber. Sarah dropped her scanner. All 73 guardians were moving now. Not walking exactly, flowing. Stone bodies that shouldn't be able to move at all were rising from their pedestals, turning, orienting toward her with impossible grace. The sound of grinding stone filled the temple, but it wasn't threatening. It was almost gentle, like the earth itself was waking up after a very long sleep. Sarah's hand went to her comm unit. Emergency protocol. Call for backup. Don't engage with awakened artifacts. But the guardians weren't attacking. They were just standing, watching her with those ancient, glowing eyes. Waiting. Sarah said intelligently. Hello. The nearest guardian, number 42, she thought absurdly, tilted its head. The gesture was so organic, so alive, that Sarah felt her academic objectivity crumble. These weren't artifacts. They were people. Had been people. Still were. Her comm unit buzzed. Dr. Chun, we're detecting massive energy signatures in your sector. What's your status? Sarah stared at the 73 awakened guardians surrounding her. I think I woke them up. You what? I was humming. Just humming. And they all stood up. Silence on the comm then. Stand by. Don't move. We're sending a security team. But Sarah's mind was racing through every piece of Keltharian research she'd memorized. The First Dawn. The temple's purpose. The guardian's role. They'd been protectors once. Warriors who defended the ancient Keltharian civilization against. What? The records were fragmentary, contradictory. Some texts called it the silence. Others called it the void. An enemy that consumed sound, that fed on silence, that could only be fought with. Oh, they weren't guards, Sarah whispered. They were singers. She looked up at Guardian 42. Its amber eyes brightened, just a fraction. Confirmation? The Keltharians hadn't built a temple. They'd built an instrument. And the Guardians weren't statues. They were amplifiers. A last resort defense system that responded to sound, to music, to the one weapon that could fight an enemy that devoured silence. And Sarah's lullaby, random, human, 10,000 years removed from anything Keltharian, had been close enough to the activation frequency. Dr. Chun, security is 2 minutes out. Do not engage. I need to keep humming, Sarah said. What? The Guardians. They're not attacking. They're listening. They've been asleep for 10,000 years because no one was making the right sounds. She looked around at the ancient warriors, at the careful way they were positioning themselves. I think they're waiting for instructions. Guardian. 42 knelt. The motion was slow, deliberate. It pressed one massive stone hand against the floor, and the temple itself began to resonate. A low thrumming that Sarah felt in her bones. They're trying to communicate, she breathed. The thrumming shifted, changed, became almost melodic. The Guardian was trying to harmonize with her lullaby. Try to learn it. The others were doing the same, creating a chorus of stone voices that shouldn't exist. Sarah made a decision that would either earn her a Nobel Prize or end her career. She kept humming. The temple responded. Glyphs on the walls that had been dark for millennia began to glow. The Guardians' voices grew stronger, more confident, learning the melody impossibly fast. They were adding harmonies, counter-melodies, creating something beautiful and alien and achingly familiar all at once. By the time the security team arrived, the Temple of the First Dawn was singing, and Sarah Chun, human archaeologist, stood at the center of 73 ancient warriors who had woken to a lullaby from Earth and realized something profound. Music was universal. Not the notes, not the scales, not the cultural context, but the act of creating sound, of pushing back against silence, of saying, I am here and I am alive. The Keltharians had known this. They'd built their last defense around it. And humanity, carrying songs across the stars without even realizing they were weapons, had just proven that some defenses never become obsolete. Dr. Chun, the security chief, said, staring at the scene before him. What did you do? Sarah smiled, still humming, surrounded by ancient stone warriors who swayed gently to her mother's lullaby. I think, she said, I just reminded them why they were built, and maybe proved that humans belong out here after all. The Guardian's song echoed through the temple, through the archaeological site, through the comm channels that broadcasted it to a dozen worlds. Within hours, linguists and musicologists from across the galaxy were analyzing the harmonies. Within days, they discovered that human vocal ranges could reproduce frequencies no other known species could match. Within weeks, Sarah Chun became the first human invited to join the Keltharian Cultural Restoration Council, all because she'd hummed her mother's lullaby and woken an army that had been waiting 10,000 years for the right voice to call them home.